पुस्तकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन फॉर आचार्य शिला प्रभुपाद की, नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 3, chapter 31, the name the movements of the living entities, and the text number 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 29, please repeat with me. Saha dehena manena vardamanena manyuna karoti vigraham kami कामिश्वा अंतया चात्मना सह देहेन मानेन वर्धमानेन मन्युना करोति विग्रहं कामे कामिश्वा अंतया चात्मना सह देहेन मानेन वर्धमानेन मन्युना करोति विग्रहं कामे कामेष्वन्ताय चात्मना. वर्धमानेन मन्युना करोति विग्रहं कामे कामेष्वन्तया चात्मना. सहगमनेन मन्युना करोति विग्रहं कामे कामेष्वन्ताय चात्मना. सह देनेन मानेन वर्धमानेन मन्युना करोति विग्रहं कामे कामेष्वन्ताय चात्मना. माताजी सह देहेन मानेन वर्धमानेन मन्युना करोति विग्रहं कामे स्वन्ताय चात्मना. Anyone would like to? Okay. Word to word meaning. Saha, with. Dehena, the body. Manena, with false prestige. Vardhamanena, increasing. Manyuna, on account of anger. Karoti, he creates. Vigraham, enmity. Kami, the lusty person. Kamishu, towards other lusty people. Antaya, for destruction. Cha, and Atmana, of his soul. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Please repeat. With the growth of the body, the living entity, in order to vanquish his soul, increases his false prestige and anger, and thereby creates enmity towards similarly lusty people. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse 36, Arjuna inquired from Krishna about the cause of living beings' lust. It is said that living entities are eternal and, as such, qualitatively one with Supreme Lord. Then what is the reason he falls prey to the material and commits so many sinful activities by the influence of material energy? In reply to this question, Lord Krishna said that it is the lust which causes a living entity to glide down from his exalted position to the abominable condition of material existence. This lust circumstantially changes into anger. Both lust and anger stand on the platform of the mode of passion. Lust is actually product of the mode of passion, and in the absence of satisfaction of lust, the same desire transforms into anger on the platform of ignorance. When ignorance covers the soul, it is the source of his degradation to the most abominable condition of hellish life. To raise oneself from hellish life to the highest position of spiritual understanding is to transform this lust into love of Krishna. Sri Narottam Das Thakur, a great Acharya of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, said, Kama Krishna Kama Pane. Due to our lust, we want many things for our sense gratification. But the same lust can be transformed in purified way so that we want everything for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anger also can be utilized towards a person who is atheistic or who is envious of Personality of Godhead. As we have fallen into this material existence because of our lust and anger, the same two qualities can be utilized for the purpose of advancing in Krishna consciousness, and one can elevate himself again to this former pure spiritual position. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore recommended that because in material existence we have so many objects of sense gratification which we need for the maintenance of the body, we should use all of them without attachment. The purpose of satisfying the sense of Krishna, that is actual renunciation. Okay, so let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitamtam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Sya Hey Krishna Prana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pramame Hari Priye Vancha kalpa tarubhyasya krupa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class again. So we are continuing the Kaplamani instructions to Mother Devahuti. The topic is the movements of living entities. So from past few weeks we have been discussing this chapter where Kaplamani is clearly explaining how a soul enters into mother's womb through father, and after getting the consciousness at the month of 7 in the mother's womb, how he is going to, how it was explained how the soul is suffering inside the mother's womb. The place is very tiny, and whatever mother eats, it goes to the child, and he will have so many difficulties. And not only that, in the subsequent verses, in the previous verses, it was mentioned when it is the soul, the jiva is coming out with the body, coming out of mother's womb also, he will experience severe pain. And with all these sufferings, when he comes out of the womb, he forgets his real position. Because when in mother's womb, when he was suffering, he is praying to the Lord that, okay, this is the last time I am going to take coming into the mother's womb. After coming out of this body, mother's body, then he will focus on his devotion and he will go back to Godhead. That was his mood. After seeing so much suffering in the mother's womb, the soul, the living entity was praying. But once he comes out of the mother's womb, he forgets, he will be under the Maya. Maya will capture and he will be working under the modes of material nature, and he forgets his real job, real dharma. So that is what the Kapila Muni was explaining. So all these verses, it was clearly explaining how the soul is suffering in mother's womb. But it's visualized, it's all the verses are so descriptive, so detailed, it's clearly we can visualize some same thing how. But even though it gives only knowledge, if really you want to understand what is the pain the living entity is suffering in mother's womb, we can take one real example. If someone is coming and showing a big bag, rice bag or atta bag, not 15-20 kgs, say 100 kgs bag, it's empty bag. If he is asking you to, okay, I will put you in this bag for 10 months. I will tie up and you sit, I will place a bag, you go into the bag and sit and stay there bag for 10 months. How many of you will agree? Right? It's 10 months without coming off the bag. Will you be able to stay? Even if he says, okay, I'll give you $1 million, $2 million, you will not be agreeing that, right? Even he says, okay, whatever food we give, you will accept, but you stay in the small gummy bag for about 10 months. How do you feel? What do you really accept? No. It's very difficult to stay for such a long period. The same thing, situation in mother's womb, the soul, the living entity is experiencing similar kind of situation. So this is what we can understand. This verses gives the knowledge, but when we compare with some material example, we understand what is the pain. We can feel that pain as well. This is one example we can understand. Now, once the soul comes out of the mother's body, what will happen? His only interaction is crying. For everything, he cries, and then mother gives milk. And that is how the focus on body starts. The parents will start looking the bodily needs of child. Since child cannot communicate anything, only communication is through crying. So they will only, whenever he cries, they will feed milk. Like sometimes, unusual times, baby start crying. Parents don't know. And then Prabhupada was explaining the previous purports, right? Sometimes the parents will give some medicine, assuming that, okay, he's having a stomach pain. But internally, the baby might be feeling hungry. And you give some medicine, which is very bitter, and that will cause so much trouble to the baby. So this is what Prabhupada was explaining in previous verses, right? So this is so what is happening in this course, our parents' attention started towards child in relation to bodily needs. Okay, when he is feeling hungry, they will attend. Any other bodily needs, people start focusing on. This is the beginning of our material consciousness, where this is the first stage where the kid, after some few months, kid will understand. If he needs something, he will start crying. Then to fulfill any demand up to certain stage, kids will start crying. This is what we develop. There is nothing wrong addressing the material needs of the kid. Yes, we have to do as a parents, but the focus is on material needs. But if you see in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, it was mentioned, right, in a Bhakti Yoga process, if a person is unable to complete Bhakti in his current life, what will happen? He will be getting the chance in the next life where he will get in a family which is supportive to Bhakti, right? So that is where we can see. So in our congregation also there are many kids, right from childhood they are doing so sincere, nice devotion. Kids are attending Mangalarti, doing the singing, bhajans, kirtan, and so many things they are learning in devotional way. When we compare this with the other, so the two sections we can see. One section where parents are taking care of both bodily needs and spiritual needs, right? So the even congregation we can see so many kids, their parents are guiding them to do various services. You can see many kids on weekends and Sundays, and in last Purushottam month we see many kids who are coming in Mangalarti. So what the parents are doing? Parents are taking care of both bodily needs as well as spiritual needs. But this is only a few section of the people that they are doing it that way. But in remaining cases, only kids are, parents are taking only bodily needs. That so as they continue doing fulfilling the only bodily needs, what will be their consciousness? Obviously, they will be taking in only material needs. They will not have any spiritual knowledge. They will not have any spiritual consciousness. So what is the reason for all these things? So the basic reason is we are in this material world. Three modes are acting on us. The particularly passion and ignorance. These are the modes. That is what in this verse it is mentioning, and in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3:37 also Krishna is saying Kamesha Krodesha Rajoguna Samadbhava Mahasano Mahapapmo Vidhi Inam Hi Vairinam. Right? So what is the basic reason for this? The lust, which is generated through passion. Because of the passion, three modes are working. The passion is one of the mode, and ignorance. These first passion creates the lust. From there, if the lust is not fulfilled, the material desire is not fulfilled, then you will get anger. And when you do, even anger, subsequently it will be transformed into moha, illusion. We have the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Jayato Vishayat Punsa, Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kama, Kama Krodho Vijayate. That is what said. So when you keep on remembering some material things, what will happen? Your attachment develops. And when your attachment develops, then if it is not satisfied, you will get anger. And if it is again Krodha Bhavatu Sammohan, Sammoham Smriti Vibhrama, Smriti Bhramsha Buddhi Nasha Pranasati. What will happen? If the lust is first, after material attachment, you will get lust. And from the lust, you will get, if it is not fulfilled, anger. And if from the anger, you will get illusion. So this is how the living entity gradually degrading. So in this verse, Prabhupada was focusing more on the lust, and we will try to understand this lust, the material desire, what is the nature of this lust, how it impacts, and how we can control this lust and anger. So if you see the lust, then what is the lust, we can understand more this lust with some material examples. In Krishna's pastimes, in Krishna book also in Bhagavatam, we have Aghasura, the snake demon, right? What he was doing in the forest, he opened his mouth, and other Gopas and Krishna were playing in the forest, and all the kids were thinking that it's something, they didn't realize that it is a snake, python, big snake, which is waiting to capture the Gopa and Krishna. What they thought, simply all the kids went one by one, and finally Krishna went there and he killed Aghasura and he rescued. Right? So not only that, in a big forest like in African safari and in wild forest around the world, the python is like that. It opens the mouth, it waits, whichever inside animal passing through, it will capture. So same thing, this lust is like it acts in the same way. So whoever person is acting under the modes of passion, when he develops lust, it captures all your good behavior, good qualities, everything it captures, and you will be completely entangled in this material world. Another example we can take, right? So in the eclipse time, as per our Vedic thing, what Rahu will swallow the sun or moon. When he swallows the sun or moon, it is invisible, right? We can't see sun or moon during the eclipse time. So same way, the lust, it captures your knowledge, your good behavior, whatever good practice, austerities, your everything, it captures, and you will be completely entangled in this material world. That is how lust acts. And not only that, the basic root cause of all our problems is not just lust, but how this lust develops. The lust is coming from, as per the previous verse, Jayate Visharthams, right? The association, attachment, excessive attachment to material things, a lust develops. Some time back I quoted this example, how the attachment develops. When you are walking on the George Street iPhone shop, if you dare regularly few days, if you are walking, the third day you will get attraction. Oh, so many people, it's a new iPhone 15 launch. Everyone will be going in front of the shop. Big queue will be there. When you are travel going in front of the shop, first day you will see, second day you will see, third day you will get attraction. You will go inside the shop and see, and fourth day you will start thinking how to get the phone, and you will make all the arrangements. This is how the lust develops. How the material desire develops. So the root cause is not just lust. The lust comes from attachment, and the attachment is the basic. But how the attachment is developed? Attachment develops association. Yes, but then that is actually another root cause of the attachment is repeated contemplation. Because you are walking in front of the iPhone shop, first day itself you didn't go to the shop. You are keep on repeatedly seeing the same item again and again, again and again. What will happen? Your attachment, repeated contemplation. But how that repeated contemplation is happening? Attraction. This is the root cause of our all material desires. The attraction is the basic one, which develops when it comes in your mind. You keep on thinking about that item, anything, whichever object you are trying to enjoy, and then when you repeatedly contemplate, then finally you develop the attachment. Okay, I have to get this object. Then finally, when it fails, you will get anger, and then what will think that okay, at any stage I have to get this object. You will get your illusion. Your illusion is such that you will at any cost I have to get this. Then you put all your efforts in achieving. This is the illusion. But why the illusion is a moha is, it is not, illusion is nothing but when you use a material thing which is temporary, which is not real. You are trying that should be that is your life objective, life goal. That is called illusion. That is this is how these things, attraction to contemplation, contemplation to attachment, attachment to lust, and the lust leads to anger, anger to illusion, moha. This is how gradually this modes, generally we say three modes are working, because of that we are conditioned. But how internally it happens, this is the process, this is the mechanism through which we all will be affected. Right? The material attraction is the key thing which all drag you towards this condition, repeated birth and death. Another example also we can see, like suppose if you go to the beach and many people will be doing the surfing. When you see the people are doing surfing, you will get attraction. You will get attracted. First, okay, many people are doing. It could be easy thing. If I just little bit careful, I can also do. This is the first level of attraction stage you think. Then the multiple people will be coming and doing, right? Then you will get, your desire will increase. You try to do. Then what you will do? You go into the water. Just you will stand, just go into the little bit beach close to the surface, but you will go into the water, and then you feel comfortable. Then this is where the attachment stage starts. What will happen? You go just a few steps into the water and you are finding easy. Then you will go further deep. Okay, you will not find anything. Okay, it's comfortable. Then you try to do something. Then suddenly big tide will come. It will pull you into the water. This is how the material attraction develops, then attachment, then you will be dragged into the ocean. Same thing happens in our material life. How this lust is impacting, the material desire is taking on, dragging into our material life. It's like, example is the spark is like a small fire, but if you don't control it, it will become a big fire. Same thing, the lust is like attraction stage is like a small spark of the fire, but if you don't control, it will become a big fire and it will completely devour everything, right? So it will, that is how we can see. There are multiple examples like So how this attraction and attachment, if you when you if you are in the attraction stage, with the right guidance, with the right instructions, you can guide it into the, because this lust, the attraction is in the passion stage. So from the passion stage, you can go to goodness. Then from the goodness, you can elevate into the spiritual path. But the spiritual goodness is a basic thing which you need to have in order to progress in your spiritual path. So passion is there. From the passion, you have two paths. Either you can, with all the association, with all the required support, with the help of spiritual master, you can come to the goodness state. From the goodness, you can go back to continue the spiritual path. But in other ways, where you, if you don't control your attraction, if you are supporting your attraction, you are feeding more and material desires into your mind, what will happen? You go down to the ignorance, from the ignorance to moha. So the passion is the intermediate stage where even it is not conducive for spiritual path, but it can, based on your situation, based on your knowledge, based on your determination, either you can go back to the goodness, from goodness to spiritual path, or you can come down to anger, anger to illusion. So there are two examples I would like to refer here, where one example with the help of spiritual master, how he was able to progress onto the goodness and continued in the spiritual path. And other example where how he fall down because of unable to control. So first one is from the Ramanujacharya past times. So Ramanujacharya was, even when he was in Srirangam, every day he used to go to the Kaveri river, he performed his daily rituals, and then he is coming back. One day when he was coming back from the temple, he saw a person, and in his person, the left hand, he is having a nice umbrella, and the other hand, he is having a one fan, and under the umbrella, one beautiful lady was there. So the person, his name is, the person who is doing this is Dhanurdas, and he was holding the umbrella in one hand, fan in other hand, and the woman is walking under the umbrella and is fanning and is walking along with on the road. And Ramanujacharya saw this person. So even that person, Dhanurdas, is not bothering what everyone is thinking about him. He is fully involved in seeing her, the woman, and doing all this and walking on the road. So Ramanujacharya saw this person and he informed his disciple Dasarathi. So then he asked his disciple to go and bring that person. So this disciple went to Dhanurdas and asked. Then he tried to call that Dhanurdas, but he was fully engrossed involved in that, watching that woman and is doing the services to that woman. After a couple of attempts, he came to consciousness, and then he said, okay, our guru, the Ramanujacharya, is calling. So that person, the Dhanurdas, knows that Ramanujacharya, great Acharya at that time. So then he was surprised, why this guru is so big, guru is calling me. Then he went there to see the Ramanujacharya. Then Ramanujacharya asked him, why, what nectar you are seeing, why you are constantly looking at a woman and doing that service. Then that person told, okay, this woman, I have seen so many people, but this lady's eyes, I got so much attracted, I could not find such eyes anywhere in the world. So that's why I am very much attracted towards eyes of that lady. Then Ramanujacharya told, and they asked her that, why, is she your wife? No, I am not married to this wife, but I am not going to marry any other woman. Only this person only I am going to marry. So that is how he was fully involved in that material enjoyment. So then Ramanujacharya told, okay, if I show you another beautiful eyes, will you stop coming to doing this act to the lady, this lady? Then the Ramanujacharya told, I will show you two other beautiful eyes. If you see that eyes, you will forget everything. These kind of activities. Are you okay to see that eyes? Then Ramanujacharya, when he told, the Dhanurdas told yes. Then Ramanujacharya asked him to come in the evening to the temple. So he took him to the Ranganatha Swami temple in Srirangam. And so it was like evening time, the Arati time, with the camphor, Pujari is doing with the camphor, he is offering the lamp and Arati to the Ranganatha. Lord Ranganatha, and the temple was so that it was completely with the lights, everything, diyas, everything there, and only from he took, the Ramanujacharya took that Dhanurdas very close to the just last gate closest to going to the deity. Then the Dhanudasu saw the eyes of the Ranganatha. He was immediately captivated, and he was completely immersed in watching Lord Ranganatha's eyes. And after some time, when the Ramanujacharya called him, he came back to his consciousness. Then after that he surrendered to Lord Ramanujacharya and became a devotee. So this is where initially he developed the attraction, but when he is in the attraction stage, when under the support guidance from the Ramanujacharya, he was able to recover and he was able to continue the path of bhakti. He became a sincere devotee and a surrendered disciple of Ramanujacharya at the later stage. So this is how the lust is there. Attraction, it starts with attraction, but if you curb the attraction, if you remove the attraction stage, if you remove it, then you will be able to continue, come out of this passion, and you will progress in a spiritual path. But the other example, I will say is Bhagavatam. Ajamila pastimes. What happened to Ajamila? He was walking, Ajamila was a very sincere Brahmana. He was doing all his dharma, as per his dharma, all the activities he was doing. He is a knowledgeable person. But what happened? He saw a prostitute and a Shudra person. What happened later? He got attracted, then he started contemplating in his mind about those two people. And what happened? Gradually he developed attachment. But what there is attraction to attachment developed, but there is no one there to guide him, or he did not go to anyone saying that okay, I am getting disturbed because of this. But finally what happened? He got attached to that prostitute, and finally after so many things, like finally at the end of on the deathbed, he called his son Narayana. But later that is a different altogether story. But finally what happened? He was able to go back to Godhead, but after following all the difficulties, and finally he realized what mistake he did, but he went. But in the initial stage, attraction stage and attachment stage, we did not take any action, precautionary measures, so that he will be continuing in a good path. But that did not happen, so he followed in all abominable activities he did. Finally, by the mercy of Lord, because he uttered the word Narayana, that helped him to come in the back of life. But with his dharma and his jnana, it did not help anything to come into the path of bhakti. So these are the two examples. So this is all this discussion, the lust, how attraction and attachment. The key important thing is our mind. Mind is very important aspect in controlling the mind. What exactly, how the mind behaves. The mind is like whatever you feed, it grabs. Right? So if you feel good things in your mind, right? If every day you are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or you are coming to the temple, or you are attending Harati, or you are doing chanting, what will happen? It will keep accepting good things. But if your mind is towards all your Bollywood movies, or sports, or any other sense enjoyment activities, what will happen? Your mind keep on grabbing only those things. So the mind is a very important aspect in this. Throughout the journey of this material thing, mind is plays very important role. Whatever you feed, it munches that mind. So this is what happening. We see in the Ajamil story as well. He was repeatedly thinking the bad things. He followed the bad association and bad path. This is how we can understand this again. Suppose if your forest path is there, when you are in the forest path, if you are walking regularly, the grass will not grow. If you are walking in a pathway, if everybody is walking regularly, the grass will not grow. But whereas if you stop growing, if you stop walking for some time, the grass will grow. Same thing in our life, we need to do our sadhana, austerities, and all the regulative principles, everything. If we do keep on doing that, then the lust cannot enter into our heart, mind. Attraction will not come in our mind. So our study, sadhana and austerities, these things will help in progressing in our spiritual path and coming away from this lust and attachment and attraction. So another example we can see is if you say apple, if you take an apple, if you cut the apple, if you keep it in open air, what will happen? It will become brown, color changes, it loses its freshness, right? It will be oxidized, and then the color will change. Same thing if it is in a banana also. If you peel it and keep it for a time, it will it will be oxidized, and because of oxygen and air, it will change its freshness. Same thing any vegetables you do. Like what we will do, we will be doing keeping it in an airtight container or airtight bag. We keep it so that it remains fresh. Same thing our sadhana, our austerities, our practices, all spiritual activities, whatever we do, it keeps us fresh, and it will not. We will not how the banana or apple will get affected by air, it will change the color, right? But if you keep in the airtight, it won't happen. Same way, all these our spiritual activities, devotional activities, it will protect us from doing happening, getting impacted by these material desires. Like, so important thing is our study sadhana. Sadhana should be very steady. Like Radhesham Prabhu was giving an example on this study sadhana, what it means. Like some people, the Kartik month is coming, and the last 5 days is Bhishma Panchak. Many people, some people, what they do, okay, I do fasting for 5 days. The basic motive is, okay, I was eating so much food from first few months, and okay, let me use these 5 days to control my diet and get reduce my weight. So many people have that motivation. But what Prabhu was saying, nothing wrong in that, but your consciousness is not like that. It should not. That should not be your consciousness. What should be your consciousness? Whenever, now, if you are doing the fasting, not just only on Bhishma Panchak, in all other Ekadashis you do fasting, or any other Vaishnava Vishnu Tattva incarnations, or any Vaishnava Acharya appearance days, you do as per the regulations. You follow the practice, those austerities, fasting, everything, and if you have to follow all those things. Not only that, the consciousness, whatever day, when we do fasting, what would be our mood? We minimize material activities, cooking and all these things, and utilize that time in the service of doing more devotional. That should be your consciousness. You have to do all these austerities every time, not just Bhishma Panchak, but do all other times as well. And with the mood, what would be our consciousness? It is, you have to think that, okay, by minimizing your material activities, the additional time you are getting, utilizing it in a devotional way. So with that mood, when you do, you will get the real benefit of this doing the austerity. Otherwise, you will only get, if you do 5 days fasting without eating, you will only lose weight and you may look slim. But the actual spiritual benefit you will not get. This is how the Radhesham Prabhu was mentioning the study sadhana, what it means, how we should do. And he was mentioning that even chanting is like, even for a moment also, we should not forget doing the chanting. Prabhu was explaining his example. When he was traveling or anything, suppose he was traveling, he is in the airport, he was waiting in the queue. Immediately he will take his bead bag, he will keep on chanting. And he was giving an example. In olden days, in ISKCON, people used to put their chanting bead in a neck. The reason is, as and when they get time, they used to start chanting. That was their mood and that was their habit. But down the line, people, what we are doing, as soon as we finish our 16 rounds, bead bag will be there on the cupboard or somewhere safely, right? That is, so he was saying that in the olden days, people used to keep their in the neck. As and when they get time, they used to. So all these activities, what will happen? Like as I mentioned, mind will accept whatever you feed, right? When you keep on in these devotional activities, chanting, whenever you get on reading Prabhupada books, so your attraction, material attraction, those things will not enter into your mind. And if at all you get into the mind also, you can easily overcome those things. So this is how we need to work towards controlling our lust. And so whatever, like when we do the lust and these things, when you suppose if you are not careful for practicing these things, as I mentioned earlier, whatever knowledge you achieve, whatever good behavior, those things will be removed. Like we saw in the example of Ajamil pastime, right? He was a nice Brahmana, but what happened? At the end, all his good qualities, good practice, everything were captured by, superseded by this lust, the attraction, the material desires. So another important thing is like when the key conclusion. So the key basic conclusion from this discussion is, so we may having the knowledge, we might be having the good qualities. We might be following our dharma. As a brahmana, you may be following all the dharmas. But and you read scriptures and you get so much knowledge. But those things alone cannot help. We can see in the example of Ajamil. He was doing all the things nicely, but those dharma and jnana is not able to protect Ajamila. We can see many people, like in India, people they will be coming from very aristocratic Brahmin family. They will be following all various rituals, everything. But once they come overseas for studies or anything, what will happen? They will start changing their habits. They will what happen? What it means? So whatever good practices you are doing, it will help you only up to particular state. But when the attraction is become attached state, those things will not save you from your path. The path which saves, again from Ajami story, is bhakti, chanting the holy name. That is dharma can help you up to particular stage, the jnana can help you particular stage, but bhakti with the chanting, it is the ultimate shelter we have to take. That will help you to get you out of this attraction, the material desires. So bhakti is the ultimate thing, the chanting is the ultimate goal, we should follow. With that, we will be coming out of this attachment, attraction, repeated contemplation, anger and moha. All these things you can overcome with a devotional bhakti, with a chanting. So I would like to conclude here. Any comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Destruction of the soul. Should we understand it actually not the destruction, but it's actually the soul's declaration of the hellish condition of life?
Yes, Prabhu. So the distraction is coming. See, your body is there, physical body, and the subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego. Under that you have the soul, right? Any activity you do with the body and subtle body, gross body, whatever idea, finally it impacts the soul. Soul has to take next birth, right? So in that consequences you need to understand. Yes, whatever you do, all these things, it is the final impact is on soul. If you do good activities, devotion, soul will go back to Godhead. If you do bad activities, soul will take repeated birth and death. Right? That is how the connection is. Yeah. Daiva.
Fortunate soul is being reversed.
Yeah.
Because universe the last 100 births.
Yes.
So my question is, the fortunate means, and soul means, it's actually a fallen yogi who's actually given a birth to become a devotee in an extra grand family. So my question is, if such is a devotee, how is it actually getting attracted to all these things? He's actually getting falling prey to the Maya. So how does this actually happen? He's born in a devotee family, he is a devotee in the previous life. How is it actually getting enhanced?
See, Prabhu. Okay, so the soul is who's offering prayers. Is in the previous life he was a devotee. He followed devotee path. But how he is able to? So maybe in the previous last two births he might be following the devotion. But prior to that he was following, right? If he was following, like if he is remembering last 100 births, right? From there he was remembering and all how 100 times how he took birth, 100 times how death was happening. He is remembering. Maybe last 2-3 births or 10 births we don't know. He might have followed the devotion, but before that he was into the. So he is remembering all those things. And based on that, he is offering prayers that okay, in the next life I will not follow that material path. I will follow the path of spirituality. So that's what based on the past activities, past in the sense not immediate. That's what I'm saying. In the immediate birth, he might be a devotee, but in the previous birth, he could have done all these material activities.
What counts is the previous birth. What counts is that's what the
Yeah, but when he was remembering 100 lives, right? So in the 100 lives, he would have done all those bad activities, right? He was remembering those things. Yeah, so these things are after post birth. See, the after post birth, it's not guaranteed that all those people will be captured under Maya, right? Now, Because that's what I took the example in our devotee congregation. Many small kids coming to the temple, they are taking part in all the various activities, right? So they are not, so they are in the path in the material world, but at the same time, those kids are not like other material kids. They come to Mangalarti, they do all kirtan, they are doing so many services, right? So these are the souls in the previous birth, they continued their journey. Even mothers whom they must have offered prayers, and after coming back, they are offering, they are doing the nice devotional service. So yeah, see, yeah, it's a, this sloka, whoever is after coming out of mother's womb, whoever is following in the material path, sometimes maybe the devotee who was very sincere devotee, he may fall down. That can happen. There is no hard and fast formula we can say. It could be say the sincere devotee, he might continue follow the same path, or sometimes fall down might happen. Like we see Bharat Maharaj story, right? So he was a very sincere devotee. He left family, kingdom, everything, but at the last final stage, he got an attachment towards a deer, and then luckily because of that, again Daiva, he remembered his past life, and then he was able to correct things, right? So it's a person to person, it will be very Prabhu. There is, in general, we can take the principle how it works, but again, how it works on each individual, it is different. As a principle, we can take, okay, this is how the process works, how it works. If you are in a devotional family, you will get in the next birth, you will get opportunity to do a nice devotional service. But you have always free will. You might misuse your free will and go in a wrong path. So that is a person to person varies. But overall underlying principle is this. Yes. Any other? Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, speak loudly, I'm not able to. Sorry. Yes. See, there are okay multiple things we can, but I will take from the last point. Where can we go back to Godhead in the last lifetime? Prabhupada told in this. See, Prabhupada told one thing is clear, right? If you follow four regulative principles and all the 16 minimum 16 rounds of chanting, I'll take back to Godhead. So you need to have faith, and first thing we need to have all faith on Prabhupada and follow whatever Prabhupada four regulative principles and chanting minimum 60. That is one thing. Now you are saying other part. What you are saying is we make material plans, and at the same time we try to balance the spiritual life, right? Whether is it possible to go back to Godhead? That see, Prabhu, the basic thing is when we come to this material world, why we came to this material world? Just for the enjoyment, not for doing bhakti. If you are interested in doing bhakti, you would have stayed with Krishna only, right? So our desire was to come back to this material platform to have the enjoyment, right? Like how Krishna is doing in a spiritual world, we wanted to have the enjoy similarly like Krishna. So we came to material world. But after taking repeated births, enjoying so much time, you will be getting, you will be puffed up with this, you will be getting distasteful of those material attractions. Then what you will get some knowledge by association of some devotees or anything, you will get some knowledge. Then what you will try to do? You will try to balance both spiritual and material. But that will not see, if you see the from Shraddha to the Bhakti Prema, the topmost Prema, various things are there. But the Nishta, what is it? Anartha Nivrutti is the largest section. Right? If you try to keep material and spiritual life balanced, then anarthas, you will committing so many anarthas. Unless you remove all your anarthas are cleared, you will not progress in your bhakti. Right? So we might, people will think that okay, I will try to balance both spiritual and material, then I will continue. But after doing that also, after so many births, again you will think that okay, this is waste. I don't need to. I'm not in. There is no point in spending time in material things. then you will fully focus and surrender on Krishna. So it may take repeated births and multiple iterations. That's why in the verse Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapajyate Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, right? So after getting you, this is the journey of a general normal. But if you take Srila Prabhupada instructions, like you were mentioning, right? Prabhupada's senior disciples, they left everything. They left all the material things. They fully surrendered to Prabhupada mission, right? If he in that path, we will be able to go back to birth. Otherwise, you will take so many births. At some stage, you will get the realization that okay, this material world is no use. Let's continue in the spiritual. So that is how the process works. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।